Welcome to Sedona. I'm Captain Jess Molina, and I'll be your instructor. For this lesson, we're going to start on the ground and focus on some basic concepts. Fundamentals every pilot needs to know before hitting the skies. This is your plane, a classic, the Cessna 152. Take a look around it. In the simulator, anytime you want, you can easily switch to cursor mode. The cursor is handy for interacting with menus and cockpit controls or instruments. As you can see, activating the cursor also displays the toolbar. The toolbar is a quick access menu that allows you to control various aspects of the simulation. Try to find and open the Basic Controls panel. The Basic Controls panel is a useful reminder of the button layout for the devices you're currently using. Now try to find and open the Camera panel in the toolbar. The Camera panel allows you to access the various views and camera modes of the simulation. Go ahead and close all the panels for now. Right now, we are in the external view mode. Let's switch to cockpit view next. In front of you is the yoke, the primary means of controlling the aircraft. In the simulation, you'll be controlling the aircraft with your peripherals of choice. So let's hide the yoke for now. Some instruments allow multiple interactions. For example, rotating a dial clockwise or counterclockwise. In these cases, you need to lock the cursor onto them in order to interact. For example, take a look at the clock in the middle of the dashboard. Go ahead and lock the cursor on it. Now change the clock time. You can unlock the cursor once you're ready. For now, we're done with the cursor, so go ahead and hide it. Alright, as we've seen, when you want to look around you, it's easy to rotate the camera. But you can also move it freely in the cockpit to get a better view of anything you want to see. Even through a window to look outside. Pro tip, once you find a camera position you like, you can save a shortcut to easily get back to that view anytime. Now, reset the camera to its original position. Then try switching to your custom one again. Alright, that covers all the main camera functions available in the simulation. Try to familiarize yourself with them a bit more. Then reset the camera to its original position whenever you're done. Great! get you familiar with the aircraft, a Cessna 152, and a few commands to navigate it through the skies. In front of you is the yoke. The yoke is like a steering wheel, more or less. Turn it left or right to control the ailerons and bank the aircraft into turns. Look at the trailing edge of the wings while turning the yoke to see the effect on the ailerons. Okay. Now, the difference between the yoke and a steering wheel is you can pull or push on the yoke. This controls the elevator at the back of the aircraft to make it climb or descend. Look at the horizontal stabilizer while you pull on the yoke. You can see how it affects the elevator. Nice. Down at your feet are the rudder pedals. They steer the aircraft when you're on the ground. The upper part of the pedals also control your brakes. In the air, they control the rudder at the end of the vertical stabilizer to yaw the aircraft. This is mostly for small corrections, for coordinating turns or compensating for a plane's tendency to pull left during takeoffs and climbs. Look at the vertical tail while operating the pedals to see the effect on the rudder. Great! Last but not least, the throttle is located near the center of the cockpit. Pushing forward will increase power, pulling back will decrease power. First, look at the throttle and select it. Keep it selected and push it forward to increase power. Power is increased. Now, pull it back to decrease power. Power is decreased. Now we'll do the same without focusing on it. Deselect the throttle. Look away from the throttle and increase power. Set your throttle to idle. Excellent. When the engine is on, you'll be able to see the power change on your RPM indicator. You'll find it on the right side of the dashboard. This tells you how fast the engine is spinning in hundreds of revolutions per minute. Next, take a look at your current speed on the airspeed indicator. It's on the left in the main instrument panel. It measures the speed in knots. To check your altitude, look to the altimeter. It's on the right side of the main instrument panel. The altimeter has 3 hands, similar to a clock. The long, thick pointer indicates 100-foot intervals. The short, thick one is 1,000-foot intervals, and the long, thin one, 10,000-foot intervals. That's all for today. Next time, we'll see how it feels in the air. chose a great day to go flying. This session, we'll get started with some basic controls. Sound good? First things first, let's get familiar with your surroundings. Out your side windows, you can see we have great visibility over Sedona today. This is Red Rock territory. Beautiful, isn't it? spot the Sedona Airport. The runway should be a pretty easy landmark to find. There you go. Visual confirmation on the airport. Talked about basic controls while we were on the ground. Time to see how it all feels in the air. The aircraft is currently set to a cruise attitude, the position it should be in for regular flight. Alright, now let's try banking into a turn by moving the yoke. I'll go first. Turns under 30 degrees. Go ahead and try rolling to the right. You have controls. Turn right, toward the city of Sedona. Make sure any control movements are soft and gentle. As we're flying towards Sedona, let's try climbing up and down. Gently pull on the yoke to climb. Give it a try. That's good. For the descent, it's the same principle, except you're pushing on the yoke. Go ahead, gently pitch down. That's good. Okay, time to find the airport again. Look around, and when you found it, make a turn in that direction. Soft and gentle. Now that you're more familiar with the aircraft and the surroundings, the next step is to go deeper into handling and techniques. Soon enough, you'll be able to enjoy trips all on your own. Demonstrate pitch, I've drawn 3 lines on the windshield. Notice how the middle line matches the horizon while we're flying level. This is the cruise attitude. The lower dotted line is the climb attitude, and the upper one is the descent attitude. Let's dig deeper into what that means. Pull back gently on the yoke until the climb attitude line matches the horizon. Then maintain that attitude. According to your altimeter, we're gaining altitude. But we're losing airspeed, proving you can't avoid basic physics while making a climb. Excellent. Now let's level back out. Our speed is increasing and our altitude is stable. That's good. Push gently on the yoke until the descent attitude line matches the horizon. Then maintain that attitude. As expected, with a nose-down attitude, our altitude is decreasing, while our speed is picking up. Great. Okay, bring us back to level flight. Now your speed is decreasing and your altitude is stable. Nice. That was excellent. Being able to maintain a precise and stable attitude is key to performing all types of maneuvers. We're going to use a line drawn on the windshield to indicate the cruise attitude. I've also added another dotted line to help you bank properly for left turns. Gently move the yoke to the left until the dotted line matches up with the horizon. Then maintain that bank. Level back out. That's okay. Remember to maintain altitude while leveling off. For the next step, turning to the right, let's see how you do on your own without any markings. At the top of your attitude indicator, there's a series of notches representing 10 degrees each. As a general rule, you always want to keep your turns under 30 degrees. Start banking right until you're lined up with the second notch to the right on the attitude indicator. Then maintain that 20-degree bank while remaining at the same altitude until I ask you to stop. Out now. Great. Small corrections on the yoke will lead to more accurate turns. the need for speed, then the throttle's for you. Full control over the power output of the engine. In the Cessna 152, that relates directly to the RPM displayed on the tachometer. Pull back on the throttle to reduce RPM to 1800. Look how your speed and altitude are also decreasing. That's good. Okay, let's throttle back up to 2400 RPM. Your speed is increasing now. As long as you maintain the same attitude, your altitude will keep climbing as well. Nice. Let's talk about the throttle. If you have the need for speed, then the throttle's for you. Full control over the power output of the engine. In the Cessna 152, that relates directly to the RPM displayed on the tachometer. Pull back on the throttle to reduce RPM to 1800. Your speed and altitude are also decreasing. Excellent. Okay, let's throttle back up to 2400 RPM. Your speed is increasing now. As long as you maintain the same attitude, your altitude will keep climbing as well. Nice. That was excellent. With piston planes like this Cessna, it's common to have power targets defined in RPM. Let's take a look at the relationship between attitudes and power settings. Attitude plus power equals performance. We're currently at 5,500 feet in a cruise attitude. The aircraft's nose is positioned under the horizon and cruise power is at 2300 RPM. Try to reduce power to 2000 RPM while maintaining 5,500 feet. Noticed, to maintain altitude, you need to pitch the nose up. You could just keep pulling on the yoke to hold steady, but that's not really a precise means of control. Probably better to adjust your trim wheel until you don't need to push or pull on the yoke. Drag the trim down when you need to set the nose up. Drag it up to set the nose down. Try adding trim to keep us at 5,500 feet without increasing throttle. Try it out. Trim the aircraft to maintain 5,500 feet. You put your plane in a dangerous situation. Probably noticed, to maintain altitude, you need to pitch the nose up. You could just keep pulling on the yoke to hold steady, but that's not really a precise means of control. Probably better to adjust your trim wheel until you don't need to push or pull on the yoke. Drag the trim down when you need to set the nose up. Drag it up to set the nose down. Try adding trim to keep us at 5,500 feet without increasing throttle. Keep working on it, you'll get better. You're not high enough. To 2,300 RPM while maintaining 5,500 feet. Get us back to a cruise attitude. Excellent. Now, adjust the trim. That's good. You did well, but you can do better. The way I was taught, when you adjust the trim, you make course changes at first to remove pressure on the yoke. Then small adjustments to find the perfect setting to keep your desired attitude. If you feel your pitch slipping and need to get back to the proper attitude, don't worry. Just pull on the yoke, then dial in the right trim. That's the key to straight and level flight. To you anymore. Now it's time to test the skills you've learned. As you can see, we're cruising at 6,000 feet on a north heading of 360 degrees. Start by descending to 5,500 feet while maintaining a northerly heading. While descending, reduce throttle to avoid overspeed. If your speed is in the yellow arc of the airspeed indicator, reduce throttle to idle and pull gently on the yoke to slow down. That's good. Now climb to 6,000 feet and turn to a south heading. On the Cessna 152, you need full power to climb effectively. You can start the climb when you're ready. You put your plane in a dangerous situation. Now climb to 6,000 feet and turn to a south heading. On the Cessna 152, you need full power to climb effectively. But try to climb faster in the future. All right, next exercise. Maintain your heading of 180 degrees, stay at 6,000 feet, and adjust your airspeed to 80 knots. You can do better. Let's take a moment to talk about taxiing. Taxiing refers to moving the aircraft on the ground under its own power. In particular, getting from the ramp out to the hold short point on the edge of the runway. Steering on the ground is managed through the rudder pedals. That's right, unlike driving a car, we turn by using our feet. Okay, ready? With the throttle idle, release your parking brake. Okay. Now, gently increase throttle to get the aircraft moving. All right. pedal to turn left and enter the taxiway. As you increase power, watch the tachometer and make sure to stay around 1,000 RPM. Now test the brakes. Good. Brakes checked. Taxi to the next exit, then come to a stop. Remember to control your speed with throttle and brakes. See the crossing in front of us? Stop before it as if traffic was coming off the runway. Taxi to holding point Alpha 1 next. It's at the far end of the airport near the head of runway 21. Stay as close as possible to the taxiway center marked by the yellow line, and watch your speed. Watch your speed. Watch your speed. After the right turn, come to a stop before the hold short point and prep for takeoff. Remain on the taxiway center line. You don't want to risk damaging the aircraft. The next challenge will be to keep the aircraft under control while at full throttle for takeoff. There's an old saying I like. A mile of road will take you a mile. A mile of runway will take you anywhere. Taking off isn't hard, but there are a few key points to remember. First, we always take off into the wind, which won't be an issue on a calm day like today. Second, before we enter a runway, we always make sure it's clear. Check to the right to see if a vehicle is on the runway, and to the left to make sure no other planes are approaching. Everything looks good, no cross traffic. Go ahead and taxi into position. Now slowly taxi onto the runway and align the plane with the center line. Then stop your plane just after the number 21. Let's position the plane for takeoff. Let's do this. Apply full power and I'll walk you through the takeoff as we go. Use your rudders to stay on the center line and keep pushing power until you reach 55 knots. Good. Now gently pull back on the yoke. And we're airborne. Line up the top of your instrument panel so it's a couple of inches above the horizon. That'll pitch us up and set a good climb attitude. Focus on flying straight. Use your rudders to keep the runway heading of 210 degrees. Maintain 75 knots and we'll reach our target altitude of 5,500 feet in no time. Maintain 75 knots and climb to 5,500 feet. Okay, 5,500 feet. You've reached your target altitude. That was a nice takeoff. For this landing exercise, I want you to focus on the yoke only. We're close enough to the runway to land safely without adding any throttle. Maintain a speed of around 65 knots. Pitch down if you're going too slow. Pitch up if you're too fast. Speed at 65 knots. When you're 10 feet above the runway, it's time to flare. To flare means to raise the nose of the aircraft to slow your descent for a softer landing, but without ever leveling off or climbing. The main landing gear will touch down before the nose wheel does. Coming up on flare height, resist the temptation to pull back. Now focus on the end of the runway and pull back slightly on the yoke to aim the nose just above it. Nice. Now apply the brakes to slow us down and bring the plane to a stop. I think a bit more practice may be a good idea. Keep in mind that approaching the runway at the right speed is key to a good landing. exercise, I want you to focus on staying on the glide path using the throttle only. Smooth action on the throttle is key for remaining on the correct glide path. If you find yourself too high, reduce your power. If you're too low, increase it. Remember though, always make soft corrections. You don't want to overcompensate. Elevator to land. Reduce throttle to idle. Now focus on the end of the runway and pull back slightly on the yoke to aim the nose just above it. Nice. Now apply the brakes to slow us down and bring the plane to a stop. That was excellent. Instructor used to say, the best part of flying is landing in one piece. Today, you're in charge of bringing us in for a safe landing. And I've already set us up in landing configuration at 65 knots with 10 degrees of flaps and idle power. Keep your aim point on the runway threshold. When you're 10 feet above the runway, it's time to flare. throttle to idle. Now focus on the end of the runway and pull back slightly on the yoke to aim the nose just above it. Nice. Now apply the brakes to slow us down and bring the plane to a stop. You did well, but you can do better. Keep in mind that approaching the runway at the right speed is key to a good landing. Okay, we're currently flying on the downwind leg at the standard traffic pattern altitude of 6,000 feet. It's a flight path parallel to the landing runway, but in the opposite direction. In downwind, you want to start preparing for landing. That means setting your speed and flaps configuration. Reduce speed to 80 knots. Maintain constant altitude and heading. The flaps provide extra lift at the expense of additional drag. This extra lift allows flying at a lower airspeed. Flaps allow for smoother and shorter landings. Go ahead and extend 10 degrees of flaps, all while maintaining current altitude. We're gonna fly past the end of the runway here. Keep going until you see it at a 45-degree angle behind you. That's your cue to turn left onto the base leg. Onto the base leg. Try to maintain 1400 RPM. That'll also keep our speed around 65 knots. Turn left onto final. Keep an eye on the runway as we get ready for our final turn. Make your left turn onto final. Keep a stabilized approach and prepare for landing. all right. A little more practice will help your accuracy, though. Your first solo flight. I'll be watching from the ground in radio contact if you need me, but something tells me you won't. Your goal is to complete Sedona's left-hand traffic pattern on your own. Remember what we covered in our previous sessions, and you'll be just fine. Good luck. See you on the other side. on your way to becoming one hell of a pilot.
Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra, continue for north departure.
Aberdeen Tower Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra, continue for north departure. Aberdeen Tower Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra frequency change. Aberdeen approach Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra is type Cessna 152 4 miles south of Echo Golf Quebec Echo 2,500 feet. Request flight following.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra Aberdeen approach. Squawk 6252.
Squawk 6252 Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra.
Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra radar contact 3 miles south of Echo Golf Quebec Echo 2,800 feet. Altimeter 29.902.
Roger Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra. Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra is type Cessna 152 1 miles southeast of Echo Golf Tree 0 500 feet. Request flight following.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra Scottish Center. Squawk 5175.
Squawk 5175 Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra.
Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra radar contact 2 miles east of Echo Golf Tree 0 600 feet. Altimeter 29.902.
Roger Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra.